million gallons of clean drinking water each day to every home and business in this city, in this wonderful city. Yes. Think about that gargantuan task to do it seamlessly. We all just turn on our tap water and it's there. Clean, drinkable, as it should be. And we obviously are fortunate to live near Lake Michigan, our most precious natural resource. And today I have the pleasure, obviously, to start the run-up show and join Mayor Lightfoot to announce a new branding campaign to promote Chicago's water quality in honor of National Drinking Water Week. And I have the little can that she's going to also introduce. I love the art. Chicagwa, what a name. So without further ado, Mayor, take it away and talk about Chicagwa.
Thank you, Alderman Cardenas, and good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. We're here today during National Drinking Water Week to share exciting announcement that will highlight how we make use of the abundant resources of Lake Michigan and draw more attention to the rich story of our city's beloved crown jewel, which is our lake. Joining me in this effort, you heard from Alderman Cardenas. In addition, Department of Water Management Commissioner Dr. Andrea Chang and World Business Chicago President and CEO Michael Fastnacht. Let's face it, folks, one of our great strengths is that Chicago is a city of stories. And one of the biggest stories is about water. Without Lake Michigan, Chicago would not have existed. Nearly 200 years ago, John Baptiste Pointe de Sable and his wife Kitty Hawa founded our great city right here along the water, which gave residents of the past access to far-off places and a convenient and abundant source of water. In other words, Lake Michigan made this land the perfect place for what would become our great metropolis of Chicago. And since the 1800s, water has changed the course of our city's history and led to so many other stories, including, but not limited to, the early architects raising our downtown to build a sewer system, the reversal of the Chicago River away from the lake and towards the Mississippi River to save our city from the ravages of waterborne illness, and the survival of this water tower, the historic landmark we're standing here today, which stood strong through the Great Chicago Fire, and construction of the largest facility in the world to purify water from Lake Michigan for our residents and suburban customers across our region. So for nearly 2 centuries, Chicagoans of past and present have harnessed our nearly endless source of water for generations upon generations to drink and enjoy. And today we are building upon and taking pride in this history by launching a new project that brings awareness to the vital resource along our shore, Chicagwa, a brand new way for branding our drinking water. Chicagwa is a brand that celebrates Chicago's unique access to the world's largest freshwater sources in the world. All we do in turn to keep keep clean drinking water for residents, businesses, and visitors to use, and of course, our Chicago's water story. To bring this water story to life, we've created our very own limited edition cans filled with Chicago's drinking water. Each can features one of the unique artworks designed by a diverse group of Chicago artists who have depicted how Lake Michigan and living near water has impacted their lives. So we're drawing upon one of our great resources, which is Lake Michigan, and one of our other great resources, our incredible talent in the art community. The cans will be distributed for free at various events across the summer in the city, as well as being given away at city locations including Real Good Stuff Company, Wiener Circle, Manny's, and many other locations. To learn more about the Chicagwa campaign, please visit Drink Chicagwa, that's CHICAGWA.com. That's drinkchicagua.com. Though the history of Chicago is bigger than a can, this campaign helps make one of our city's greatest resources more tangible and more thought-provoking. And folks, here's the thing that we also need to keep in mind. While our water supply is vast, we must continue to be incredible stewards of our earth and our water, and do everything that we can to keep it a lasting resource for all of our people for the next generation to come, as well as preserve our unique water story for many years. I'm grateful to the many partners in this effort who have been invaluable in making this campaign a reality. I'd first like to thank Quality Meets Creative, the agency. You can do a little cheer. Quality Meets Creative, the agency that created the Chicagua brand and helped tremendously in this project, and continues to be a great partner to the city through our administration's By Chicago, For Chicago pledge, a coalition of around 30 agencies based here in Chicago that dedicate a percentage of all hours worked towards nonprofit, social, cultural organizations, and city agencies. And thanks to Michael Fastnack for really standing up this campaign, which continues to redound to our benefit. Let me also thank David Avram, CEO of the Great Chicago Brewing Company, which worked with the city to produce the cans. So thank you, David, and the team at Great Chicago Brewing Company. We also have to thank Michael Fastnack and our friends at World Business Chicago. As you know, Michael wears multiple hats, including as President and CEO of World Business Chicago, as well as the Chief Marketing Officer for the city, and it was he and the team at Water Management that really came up with the idea to make sure that we highlight this incredibly important resource for the city through the branding of the Chicagua campaign. I also want to give a huge thank to the artists whose work and perspectives are featured on the cans. Their names are Kate Lewis, Langston Alston, Joey, and I'm going to do my best, Deepak Kibo, Alu, Anthony Llewellyn, and Don't Fret. And lastly, I'd also like to thank the Department of Water, led by an incredible leader, Dr. Andrea Chang, for all they do to purify our water. It's not sexy, but it is some of the most important work, because if we don't have water, we don't have access to clean, healthy water, we all suffer for it. And not only do we have the world's largest water purification plant in Jardine, we got the second largest in the Sawyer plant on the south side. We've got more PhDs and engineering specialists that are just focused 24/7 on water quality than, frankly, any place else in the country. And it is all led by Dr. Andrea Chang. So Andrea, please come up and say a few words. And I hope, frankly, you're going to brag a little bit about the team at Water Management and what we've done and the investments that we've made to really step up our ability to deliver clean, safe drinking water to Chicagoans and our regional partners for decades to come. Come on up, Andrea.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. I'm Dr. Andrea Chang, Commissioner of the Department of Water Management. You know, across the city, people woke up this morning, made coffee, brushed their teeth, flushed their toilet, took showers as they prepared for the day. And virtually none of them thought about how that water got to their taps. That trip begins 2 miles off the shores of Lake Michigan. In those circus tent-looking structures, they're called cribs. And they act as the straws which pull the water into our purification systems. That system is what cleans Lake Michigan water and delivers it to your homes. And it works well, meeting or exceeding all state and federal standards for clean, safe, high-quality drinking water. When this tower, actually a large standpipe like many of you have in your basements, and the pumping station across the street were built about 153 years ago, water was pumped straight from the lake through wooden pipes into people's homes. Today, our 2 water purification plants rank the 8th and 1st in size in the whole world. Combined, they're capable of purifying 2.1 billion gallons of water a day. We sell our water to 120 suburbs. That's about 5.3 million people. We actually produce about 750 million gallons of water per day distributed through neighborhoods through 12 pumping stations across the city. Our underground system of water mains and sewer mains in Chicago is long enough to take you to Paris and back, or Mumbai if you want to keep going. Over 8,000 miles combined, and we're responsible for installing, maintaining, and repairing every inch. And repair them we do, in 95-degree heat in August and 40 below in February. We have just invested $15 million in new state-of-the-art microbiology and chemistry laboratories. We use these labs to perform over 600,000 tests annually to monitor our water quality at every step of the distribution process. We also are vigilant about protecting Lake Michigan, sending our engineers out to sample whenever it is threatened by polluters. While our infrastructure is impressive, it means little without a highly trained, credentialed, degreed, and experienced workforce behind it. And that's exactly what the almost 2,000 men and women of the Department of Water Management, or DWM, are. DWM has 81 college-degreed engineers, 17 staff with advanced degrees, 27 college-degreed chemists, and 6 college-degreed microbiologists. I myself have a PhD in engineering, a licensed professional engineer, and a Class A water operator. Our trades are represented by 12 different labor unions, which provide extensive training to create work-ready, highly skilled professional tradespersons. It's our commitment to water quality and expertise that we have on staff that has made it possible to shift DWM policies and programs to a data-driven foundation. Many times based on the large-scale, groundbreaking research conducted by our department. We're very aware that there are concerns about lead in drinking water, and we're working diligently with City Hall to create equitable plans that leverage new federal funding to remove the lead service lines that were installed until 1986, to provide water from the water main to single-family and two-flat residences citywide. Any resident concerned about their water quality can call 311 and get a completely free water lead testing kit. And Chicago's water lead testing program is the largest in the country, with over 100,000 kits mailed out since 2016. So, over a century and a half later, the Chicago Avenue pumping station is still performing at the top of its game, moving about 35 million gallons of water to downtown Chicago. Tomorrow, Chicagoans will again turn on their taps, and safe, clean, good-tasting drinking water will flow. They won't give a thought about how it got there. And they don't have to, because of the dedicated DWM staff who purify the water and maintain the massive world-class infrastructure that brings it all to our homes. So in honor of National Drinking Water Week, visit one of the locations the mayor mentioned that are handing out Chicagwa, or stroll over to your kitchen faucet and have one on us. Thank you. And next I'd like to introduce Michael Fosnot.
Good morning, everyone. So when I wrote this 20-page speech, I expected 70-degree weather, and I learned earlier, read the room or read the tent. So let me ignore the speech. But we talked about how respectful, how lucky we are with this amazing body of fresh water that we have to respect and cherish every single day. We talked about Commissioner Cheng, an amazing team at Department of Water who takes care of that body of water, make sure we have access to amazing fresh water. We haven't talked enough yet the third element that makes these cans possible. And this is the amazing community of creative agencies and creative people in our city who are thinking always breakthrough, interesting, relevant thoughts. Instead of spending millions of dollars of a traditional advertising campaign to say, look how great we are, we're building our own brands, we're building our own water, Chicagwa, with the help of 6 amazing local artists. I think it's the best way to realize how lucky we are and how we have to respect that body of water. So before we opening up for hot tea and cider, sorry, it's a question by the media. I want to make sure, thank you everyone who made this happen, and let's make sure we all drink some refreshing Chicago water today. Thank you. Mayor.
Let me add two things before we open it up for questions. I was reminded as I was coming over here that we were here almost 2 years ago to the day. And we were here at that time to announce the formation of a recovery task force, one that dug down deep, looked at what we had been through the pandemic, which I think none of us believe we would still be talking about 2 years later, but that we brought people together as a city to forge a path forward, an economic but also a social recovery that was equitable and inclusive. So that today is almost 2 years since we were all here in a similar tent, a little bit better weather, but I wanted to make sure that we didn't pass that moment. The other thing that I want to say before we take questions is to address the leak draft opinion from the Supreme Court. I think like many people across this country, and certainly here in the city, I felt a gut punch when I saw the news breaking across many wire services last night. And I just read the beginning of the opinion and then saw the reporting of it. It is despairing moment, depressing moment, I will say, but unfortunately not a surprising moment. Too many things in our country have become highly politicized, and now we know with absolute certainty that the U.S. Supreme Court is one of those entities. As a lawyer, I have been trained from day one to have great respect and reverence for all courts. And as a litigator, you make your best case, and then the chips fall where they may, and you hope that the arbiter, whether it's a jury or a judge, is going to play it straight, and it's going to respect the rules of the road and make the decision based upon the four corners of the case that is in front of her or him. I'm distressed that the Supreme Court seems to be departing from those very sacred traditions. There's a Latin term that means a lot to courts and legal observers, and it's called stare decisis. It means that we respect precedent and the traditions of the court. This court does not do that, and we are all, frankly, going to be the worse for it. There's a lot more that I could say, but check my political channels for that, because I've given, I think, a full-throated call to action on what we must do to not just be despaired, but to show that Roe is me. And by that I mean that we have a lot to do to fight back against this. But I will say this, because it does raise not only a political issue, not only a legal issue, but a public health issue. And that's really the thing that I want to address in this moment. Right now, today, there are women all across this country and in our city who are waking up and wondering, have their rights been taken away from them right now? And the answer to that is no. However, but I do want people to recognize, if you have an appointment with a reproductive health provider, particularly in the city of Chicago, those appointments stand. And for as long as I am mayor, and I think this city remains a bastion of inclusivity and equity, we are not going to turn back the clock, no matter what the Supreme Court says, no matter what other states do. And we will be organizing with our partners in this work and people of goodwill all across the city. But I also want to say this is a decision that doesn't just affect women. 50 years of women knowing that they had control over their reproductive rights, knowing that they could be not only moms, but also workers and leaders in the workforce. All of this is challenged now. And I also want to say to my brothers and sisters of color and my siblings in the LGBTQ plus community, this is something that we all need to reunite around, because today it's women's rights. Tomorrow they're coming for us. And so we've got to be a stalwart and determined and defiant in the face of this. And I guess I said I'll say a lot more when I'm not standing in an official capacity. But yes, it is a day of angst, but it should be a day of anger, but more importantly, dedication and commitment to making sure that women all over the country and our daughters have the right to choose the circumstances under which they decide to reproduce or not, that they have access to health care, that they have access to the full panoply of rights as citizens in this country, and no Supreme Court will take that away from us. So I'm happy to take questions from the media.
Thanks a lot, Mayor. Members of the media, this availability is specifically to ask questions about the Supreme Court and Roe versus Wade. Marianne, go ahead.
Mayor, you alluded to it. There was some discussion at the governor's press conference that there is a concern that marriage equality might be next. Do you have those same concerns?
Absolutely. I think we have to have that concern because the legal underpinnings, the right to privacy that was found in Roe, was used to expand the rights against discrimination on a number of different fronts, including LGBTQ plus rights and marriage equality. But as I said, we're going to fight and fight hard and make sure that at least in Chicago and Illinois, we don't turn back the clock.
I do have a question from Alex Mitkin. Maybe you can come back to me. It's on transportation. It's not on this topic.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Craig Dellamore. Thank you, Marianne.
Mayor,
Oh, there you are.
All the
I was
way
like,
to-
wait.
all the way in the back.
Okay,
You're connected.
now I see you. Go ahead.
There's no doubt that because of the makeup of the state legislature, we know what the outcome will be when there is a debate about what happens in Illinois. But how concerned are you about what will happen to the atmosphere in Illinois when these battles are going to be fought and people are going to be throwing around rhetoric about, who is on either side?
Well, look, I'm concerned about the atmosphere in our country. We are at a very, I think, difficult time in our democracy because of the polarizing and divisiveness of the political debate. So I'm worried about that overall for what this is going to mean for our democracy, not just here in Illinois. I'm worried about it. I'm worried about the fear that women are having right now today about whether or not they can control their body and whether or not that's going to be dictated by legislatures across the country who seem to have zero respect for anybody. If you've been watching over the last couple months even what's happening in some states, they're attacking children. So all of us should be afraid, but we should also be determined. And yes, we live in a very blue state. I don't see us retreating, but what I do worry about is states like Wisconsin. I was talking to a number of mayors this morning from other parts of the country, and a lot of states, as you know, have provisions baked into state law that if Roe is struck down, that in that state, abortion of all kinds, with no exceptions, are automatically banned. And we know that is true of surrounding states. So that's why I say this potentially creates a potential public health crisis because of the draconian laws that have been passed in other states that are going to be triggered into action if Roe is actually struck down. So we have to band together and be prepared for that onslaught. And many of the people who are going to be seeking care are going to need to come to Chicago. And we've got to make sure that we've got the capacity in our healthcare system to be able to accommodate these women and their families that are going to be looking to cities like Chicago from all over the country to be a beacon of hope and sanity in what it will be, I think, a very difficult and insane time when that decision comes down. And I'm told that last night the Supreme Court was silent, but I'm told today they have verified that, in fact, that document is a legitimate draft that was being circulated. And for those who don't know, typically what happens in an appellate court is the oral arguments will happen, and then the justices will adjourn and take a preliminary vote on who is voting for what side in a particular dispute, and then a majority opinion will be assigned. And that opinion was assigned to Justice Alito. Well, I'll just stop there. I could say more about the justice and his choice of words and verbiage, but I'll hold my tongue for now.
Thanks a lot, Mayor. Becky, WBZ, all the way in the back as well.
Hi, Mayor. I have two questions, one about the Supreme Court and one on topic. First, the Supreme Court. You know, we saw during the pandemic that local municipalities, even state laws and state orders had limits and were challenged. Do you have concerns about similar challenges taking place in Illinois if this repeal happens? You know, a provider saying they're not going to offer services to a patient.
Look, I think that is definitely a concern. I don't see that as a wide-scale issue for most of Illinois. I can't obviously speak for some of the more conservative parts of our state, but that's why in Chicago and the metropolitan area, we've got to be ready to fill the void and fill, frankly, I think, what we'll see as an increased need. And we've already started those conversations so that we were ready and prepared, because I do think there is going to be increased need, particularly by surrounding states that have these trigger laws, I'll call them, that when Roe is banned, then abortion is banned. And it's not just going to be abortion. Let's not kid ourselves. It's going to be birth control. It's going to be all kinds of reproductive rights. I think we're going to see, again, an attack on resources that are coming to providers like Planned Parenthood. All of those things are going to be magnified tenfold once this decision turns down. And that's, frankly, part of the distressing point. There have been other points over the arc of the Supreme Court's history where they didn't understand the climate, frankly, and how people are living with settled precedent. 50 years of Roe. 50 years where we have organized our lives, and frankly, a generation of girls and young women have grown up not knowing about what happened and what life was like before Roe came down. How many women lost their lives through botched abortions, and others that frankly took their own lives because of their lack of ability to control the circumstances under which they were giving birth to life. So I'm very concerned about the consequences. Marianne asked the question earlier about, is this just the beginning? I fear for that. And frankly, in the oral argument in the briefs of the cases before the court, the lawyer there made it very clear this was just the beginning, that he and they are absolutely going to look for cases to get quickly to the court to overturn a number of other legal precedents that are premised upon finding a right of privacy in the Constitution.
On topic, the Chicago Water Department has a lot of important priorities, including lead replacement and water billing relief.
Yes.
How much did the Chicagua campaign cost the city?
I don't have those numbers in front of me, but it was pretty minimal. I will tell you, a lot of the parts of the program were donated pro bono. This is a raising the awareness about the importance of our water. So we wanted to obviously keep the cost down, but we'll get those figures to you.
Thanks, Mayor. Craig Wall, ABC 7.
Mayor, there are a lot of speculation about the political motivation behind the leak. Do you see this as liberals trying to pressure the court to change, conservatives trying to rally? What do you think the political motivation is behind this?
Look, I really can't speculate. I think you can make an argument for every conceivable viewpoint. I do think it is distressing. Courts should be able to operate in confidentiality until they publish an opinion, because things evolve. And no doubt there will probably be a bit of evolution on this one. Obviously, the draft suggested it was a majority opinion, but I've been a lawyer long enough to see and know that sometimes things start out in the majority, but after discussion and debate further, things change, alliances shift. So I don't know that we've seen the final word of the court with this draft. My gut tells me it's pretty close, and particularly written by somebody like Alito. I'm concerned. But I do think that the leak itself just undermines the legitimacy of the court. The court has to be able to operate and have a freedom of robust internal debate without worrying that you can't trust your colleagues, you can't trust law clerks. That's not a good thing for the legitimacy of the court itself. But I think the larger issue is we better get ready. And typically these kinds of decisions don't come down till the very end of the term, usually towards the end of June. So somebody was clearly trying to send a signal of either whatever your political persuasion is, to get ready.
Can we ask you off topic about the Democratic National Committee and the bid to bring it to Chicago? Why would Chicago be the right spot, and what would this mean for the city?
Well, look, we view this as a tremendous economic development opportunity to really showcase the beauty of our city and the depth of the talent here on a world stage, because all the political conventions, whether it's Republican or Democrat, have a worldwide audience. And I think Chicago is uniquely positioned to really be able to showcase the Democratic Convention and what we are all about. It's important for us to reclaim our narrative and really showcase the beauty of our city and the talent. Whether the convention is in July or August, those are prime months for us in Chicago. As you know, we all relish the opportunity for the summer. But look, from a nuts and bolts perspective, we have ample hotel space. We've got incredible venues. Obviously, the United Center will be featured prominently in that, but we also have a number of new venues that have come online, notably the Wind Trust that wasn't here in 1996 when the convention was last here. We have a number of different entertainment, restaurant, and other venues that delegates from across the country will be able to take advantage of. We're centrally located, so delegates can really walk from one venue to another without, massive transportation issues. So we'll make that case. I'm excited at the number of people that we've been able to rally and step up and say, of course, we're willing to help, because people recognize this is a really important economic development and branding tool for the city of Chicago, and I'm confident that we'll be very competitive when it comes to the convention team deciding and winnowing the list down. So I look forward to the opportunity to make our case directly. The governor, Senator Duckworth, and I, and Senator Durbin have all been aligned in this work, and we're going to continue ourselves as principals, but also at the staff level, to work really, really hard to make the case that Chicago is the place that the Democrats should convene in the summer of 2024 to reelect Joe Biden.
Thanks a lot, Mayor. That's a wrap, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Oh, yes, go ahead. Yeah, no problem.
The one from Alex Dickin, please. It's a transportation. Cook County Department of Transportation and Highways published a report this morning saying it's renewing a push to get the CTA on board with the South Cook Fair Transit pilot to help people move easily, transfer between the Metro and CTA. They say it would help ridership bounce back on both systems. Is this a collaboration, something you're open to?
Well, we started this discussion, I think, at least 2 years ago, maybe a little bit earlier. I actually think it was pre-pandemic, so it could have even been in 2019. And the challenge that I gave to those who were promoting this is, one, convince me that this is not going to diminish ridership on the CTA. That's very important. So taking ridership from the CTA and giving it to Metra doesn't make any sense to me. But also convince me that there is a long-term funding stream for this, because the proposal that was previously presented to me was just a temporary subsidy of transfers and rides on Metra that didn't have a long-term funding stream. So I've been open to the conversation. I know President Carter has been open to the conversation, but we've not been presented with a plan since, again, I'm going to say probably 2019, and particularly one that answers those two critical gating questions, which is, what's the impact on the CTA, and is there a long-term financial solution to this that doesn't, frankly, add to the burden on taxpayers?
Thanks a lot, Mayor. Have a good one.
Thank you.